Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to give you an update on the crypto airdrops and yield farms that I am currently targeting right now. All of these, I think there's still time to farm, and in a couple of these cases, I literally just started the other day. So there are 5 passive farming projects that I've put some capital into. I've pivoted a decent amount of my farming activities into these more passive strategies while the market has been in a bit of a downturn. But after I go through those 5 projects, I'm also going to talk about some of the more active farms that I'm doing. And in fact, I just started recently a new challenge in the Discord and on the Rumor.io Twitter, where we're trying to run up a $1,000 wallet to 100K by farming airdrops, by farming yield, and doing that sorts of activities. So separate from my more degen challenge that I launched on my other channel, this one is actually exclusively for farming and for people that don't have that much money. You know, a $1,000 wallet is pretty reasonable. We're gonna see if we can run that up by more active strategies. So I'm gonna break this all down today. So for starters, one of the biggest projects that I'm currently farming right now is Superform on Base. There's a couple of reasons for this. For starters, they have a very good yield on USD, stablecoin yields, and of course, they also have a points program. And finally, the third portion of this is that potentially, if someday Base decides to tokenize, which I'm still kind of skeptical on, but if they ever did decide to do that, then certainly using this protocol would qualify for that. Oh, actually, and one other thing that I forgot is that when you make cross-chain deposits into Superform, you actually hit a couple of the bridge protocols like Layer 0 and Hyperlane. So what I'm doing for this is simply using stablecoins on Base, getting that 7 to 8% yield on that, and then also they have rewards where you earn points for making these deposits. In terms of where the yield is actually coming from, this strategy breaks it up in between a couple of different sources, including Morpho, Euler, and Fluid. And it does get a solid 20x points multiplier from Superform for doing that. So yeah, in terms of yield aggregators on Base, I think this is a solid option, and I am actually allocating a decent percentage of my stablecoin capital to farming this one. Another yield aggregator that I'm using right now is a completely brand new one. It's called YO, it stands for Yield Optimizer, and they literally just launched a couple of days ago. Now the yields on this one are actually slightly higher than on Superform. I've so far deposited 1 ETH to it. It's a relatively new protocol, and so it's not something that I'm going to ape my whole portfolio into right off the bat, but I do think that it looks super interesting because basically they try to automate, and every day they reallocate the deposits to the best source of yield. And so that's why they have a slightly more optimized yield than, for example, Superform, where the yields on USD are 7.37%. On YO, you can get up to 10%. Of course, this is variable. Now, for all of these, if you plan on making a deposit, I highly recommend that you do some due diligence and make sure that you understand the risks associated with this. YO seems to be a pretty solid team, as does Superform, but of course, there is always the chance that something could go wrong. Now, the other nice thing about Yield Optimizer is that you can also actually farm with Bitcoin when you make a deposit of wrapped Bitcoin or CB Bitcoin, because this is only currently available on Base. You get the YOBTC token that yields 4% APY. And soon it looks like they're also going to be launching with Solana as well. So I do think that this is an interesting opportunity since it's completely brand new. If you make a deposit into this, you'll be among one of the first people. Their TVL is sitting at just over $14 million. And they haven't even announced a point system or anything like that. So it is, at this point, purely a yield farm. However, of course, we can always speculate that at some point in the future, they may add points and may drop a token as well. The next passive farm that I've been focusing on recently is Ethereal. This one has been around for a little bit longer, but they're still in season 0, and it looks like there's going to be multiple stages to this farm. So currently, all you can do with Ethereal is deposit USDE, which is Athena Finance's synthetic stablecoin. When you make that deposit, you just start earning points for it. Then, at some point, when they move into the future stages of this, this is going to move from a passive farm to an active farm because they're using this liquidity to launch their own DEX. It's going to be a competitor to Hyperliquid and other perp DEXs. And so at that point, I will definitely actually start actively trading on it because I think that I'm pretty bullish on all of the products that Athena Finance is working on, Ethereal included, and I think that their perp dex could be a solid airdrop farm when we actually get to that stage. So I'm going to try and maximize this one as much as I can. Currently, just have a little bit of USDE on here, but when they actually move to the next phase, I will definitely transition this into an active farm, and I'll actually be trading and trying to maximize points for their trading airdrop. Okay, next up we have Sonic. So I am farming Sonic's airdrop passively. They have activity points and passive deposit points. What I'm doing is I'm just using ETH, and I've made a deposit into the Rings protocol with ETH to get their SC ETH token. When you do that, you earn points for Rings, you earn points for Sonics, and you earn ETH staking yield as well. This one, I think the airdrop is scheduled to be in a couple of months later this year. It should end up being a pretty solid ROI in terms of a passive yield. It's definitely worth a shot. Even at this point, I think if you make a sizable deposit, you can still rank up before the airdrop actually occurs. And then if you decide to actually go hard and farm activity points on Sonic, there's tons of different dApps that you can experiment with to try and do it that way as well. And then finally, believe it or not, I still do have some deposits with Mitosis. They keep teasing that the launch of their mainnet and hopefully the token is coming soon. And so in the expectation of that occurring, I've been trying to maintain my ranks across the board, and I've kept a deposit on Mitosis on the Linea L2, trying to hit 2 airdrops with 1 pool of capital. And I guess the thinking behind this is, even though the majority of the farming is over for Mitosis and for Linea, I definitely don't want to be filtered out by removing all of my deposits before the airdrop and then having that be some sort of eliminating criteria or something like that. So I have kept some assets with Mitosis on the Linea L2 to keep up my points and my potential ranks for both of those airdrops. And of course, the nice thing about this is that we're using restaked ETH, so it's also still earning Ether5 points, ETH staking and restaking yield, and so on and so forth. So those are some of the bigger passive capital heavy airdrops that I'm still actively farming right now. Now let's talk a little bit about this new challenge that we launched. If you want to follow along with this in real time, you can follow the Rumor Twitter account, rumor_io, or you can hop in the Discord because we have real-time updates, even more real-time than on Twitter, on what we're farming, the different strategies that we're using, and then there's also an interactive lounge where we're chatting about strategies. If you want to follow along with sort of weekly threads on Twitter, you can do that. If you want to be in the Discord with the real-time strategies, then you'll have to join my private Patreon group, which costs $5 per month and gets you access to tons of other alpha as well. So just to give you a quick overview of the types of things that we're focusing on so far, realistically, with a pool of 1K capital starting out, it's not going to be feasible to farm sort of these passive capital heavy airdrops because those tend to be more favorable for people with larger pools of capital. So with this, really, we're focusing on more active farming strategies, which potentially a lot of people are more interested in. We're farming a little bit with LP pools and trying to build some sort of delta neutral positions where we can get points for things like Meteora and Hyperliquid, as well as other perp dexes like Aventus and Lighter. So we made a bunch of deposits into perp dexes and opened long positions on one and then short positions on another in order for them to balance out, try to potentially earn some money from funding rates if we can, but more importantly, earn points without risking the overall portfolio because we are implementing that delta neutral strategy. Another thing that we're focusing on with this more active challenge is farming the Hyper EVM, the Hyperliquid ecosystem, because they still have a huge amount of money left to airdrop in season 2 and onwards. And aside from just trading on the Hyperliquid perp dex, a really important qualifier for that will probably end up being interacting with the Hyper EVM. And so a lot of what we're doing also revolves around that. So yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting challenge. I think that 1K to 10K is actually not unrealistic at all, just based on the quality of the targets that we are hitting here with these potential airdrop and yield farms. And I'm excited to see how this goes. So if you want to follow along in real time, you can join the Discord. Otherwise, you can wait for the sort of weekly threads that we're going to be posting on X here at rumor_io. So hopefully you found this update helpful. I know it's been a while since I posted my last video, but I will try to be more consistent moving forward. Thanks for watching and have a great day.